Unfortunately, we have some bad news about Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed again, which means the 19th of November is no longer the official date for the release. The release has been pushed back by 21 days, meaning that it will be releasing on the 10th of December unless it gets delayed again. This is not the first time that Cyberpunk has been delayed. Originally, it was planned to be released in April. That got pushed all the way back to September. September eventually got pushed back to November, and now this time November has been pushed back to December. With all of these delays, there's been a lot of questions raised and a lot of confusion. So I'm going to be going through some of the top comments that have replied to CD Projekt Red when they did release this statement. Before I do get into the video, I am still planning to be playing this game daily once it does finally come out. Now, the plan originally was for November and for me to actually be playing on a PlayStation 5 on the release date, as the 19th of November is the exact same full release date for PlayStation 5 here in the UK. That's now been pushed back to December, but that still means that I will be doing daily streams. It's just now it's 1 month later. So if you do want to catch up with everything relating to Cyberpunk, there will be links in the description down below to absolutely everything, which does include the Twitch stream. So Cyberpunk has not been delayed by months and months and months. It has only been delayed by 21 days, 3 weeks, to push the release date from the 19th of November all the way to the 10th of December. This is the statement that CD Projekt Red have put out about Cyberpunk. It says, "Hey everyone, today we've decided to move the release date of Cyberpunk 2077 by 21 days. The new release date is December the 10th. Most likely there are many emotions and questions in your head. So first and foremost, please accept our humble apologies. The biggest challenge for us right now is shipping the game on current gen, next gen, and PC at the same time, which requires us to prepare and test 9 versions of it, which in brackets does say Xbox One, Xbox One X, compatibility on Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro, and compatibility on PlayStation 5, PC, and Stadia. And they're all doing this whilst working from home. Since Cyberpunk 2077 evolved towards almost being a next-gen title, somewhere along the way, we need to make sure everything works well and every version runs smoothly. We're aware it might seem unrealistic when someone says that 21 days can make any difference in such a massive and complex game, but they really do. Some of you might also be wondering what this word means in light of us saying we achieved Gold Master some time ago. Passing certification or going gold means the game is ready, can be completed, and has all the content in it. But it doesn't mean we stop working on it and raising the quality bar. On the contrary, this is the time where many improvements are being made, which will be distributed via a day zero patch. This is a time period we undercalculated. We feel we have an amazing game on our hands and are willing to make every decision, even the hardest ones, if it ultimately leads to getting a video game you'll fall in love with. So there's a lot of different reasons why it has been delayed by 21 days. And with this, there's been a number of different fan reactions. We're all very upset that it's been delayed. We would love to play this game sooner rather than later, but some players can accept this change and other players just can't. This has led to many fan reactions, some raising the Miyamoto quote, which is a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Others bringing up the crunch time report saying how employees now have to crunch for even longer, or this is what happens when you try to force your employees to do crunch time. Some are mad because they took days off work to play Cyberpunk. There's also jokes about the release being in 2077, and then others, which is what we're going to be talking about in this video, is bringing up the gone gold, highlighting that the game is done and ready to be released. And there's a lot of confusion about what this means. And I thought it would be a good idea for me to cover this topic because I am actually a game designer. I went to university, I studied game design for 3 years, and then came out. I did work for a game company for a short amount of time, only for me to actually leave that company so that I can actually pursue my own dream, which is starting my own game company. So this stuff is stuff that I know, and I can actually run you through absolutely everything and explain where the confusion is and hopefully shine some light on this topic. And then we can also talk about the reasons why it has to be delayed. So despite what I've already seen in some comments, it doesn't actually go bronze, silver, gold, which some people think. It actually goes alpha, beta, and then gold. These are the different phases in which a game would go through. So firstly, you have your alpha, and this is after you've done your prototypes, whether it be paper prototypes or a digital prototype. you've got your design document in place, you start pushing towards an alpha. And an alpha means it's feature complete. So game is playable and contains all major features, this being mechanics, menus, and any other screens that need to be added to the game. But this would not be asset complete. What this means is when you go into the game, you don't actually see the 3D models that you'll actually have. What you most likely see is just game engine boxes or cubes or any spheres, anything like that that the game engine has. That's what you'll be seeing here. After this phase, you start pushing towards the beta, and the beta is feature complete and also asset complete. So this is when you start bringing in all of those major assets with different animations, and you actually have a character that looks like the character that you actually wanted within the game. This is when the game really starts coming together. At this stage, you still don't want to add any new features, but this time of any kind, being big or small. You also want to start pushing towards making this game shippable, which means when you have a playthrough, there's no major bugs. And finally, you have your gold, which is what CD Projekt achieved with Cyberpunk, which is the final build. This is the version used for submission, and it contains all the completed features and also the assets. So that is the phases that games go through. Some companies have rules of no large features to be added, and I did also mention that whilst going through it. I should point out that I did work for indie game companies and not a AAA game company. So some rules might differ because of how much bigger AAA game companies are. I also want to point out with this that these are the phases, but that doesn't always mean that the time is split up equally. Most game companies have an 80-20 rule, which pretty much breaks it down to the first 80% of the game takes 20% of the time, whereas the last 20% of the game takes 80% of the time. And this just shows how much time goes into actually polishing the game and also the bug fixes at the end, getting ready for that final build. To reach gold, this process has been completed. The game is completed. You can play it from the beginning and go all the way through and get one of the multiple endings. There's most likely some bug fixes that still need to be done, but the real reason why it has been delayed is for optimization for each platform. A game designer who cares, which is clear that the game designers at CD Projekt Red do care. They want to give the best experience to the player no matter the platform, and each platform is widely different, so that does need to be play tested on. You have the different platforms being Xbox One, Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, PlayStation 5, and also PC and Stadia. And what a lot of game companies want, and which AAA game companies most likely go through, is they want to utilize each platform with the different features. Most of these platforms have features that other platforms don't have, so therefore you need to test it to make sure it works as you planned. So for example, PlayStation 5 has adaptive triggers and also a built-in microphone that CD Projekt Red might want to use for a more immersive experience, whereas other platforms like Stadia or Xbox can't do that because the controllers that come with those platforms don't have adaptive triggers or built-in microphones. So therefore you would have to test that separately on the PlayStation 5, and then you'll have to have something completely different for Xbox, Stadia, and PC and so on. Xbox also has impulse triggers, so then that would then need to be part of the Xbox build but not part of the PlayStation build, and yet again that would also need to be tested. And that's just an example I used and not something that CD Projekt Red have said is coming, but hopefully you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. Each platform has something that another platform doesn't have, and it comes down to whether or not CD Projekt Red want to utilize those features, and if they do, they need to do a separate test. And this can be anything. This can go to something like RAM, CPU, GPU, video output, controller features, and the list just goes on and on and on. So the arguments that I've seen where fans have asked for CD Projekt Red to release the digital versions on the 19th of November and bring the physical copies out for the 10th of December, that's not the issue here. The physical and digital are the exact same game. It's about how that game, whether it digital or physical, is optimized best for that platform that it is on. And it's not about the deliveries. I've also seen some players say that because CD Projekt Red are now taking an extra 21 days, and with the amount of delays that have happened with Cyberpunk, that when this game does release, that it should just be perfect, as in they should be able to play through the whole game without a single issue. Unfortunately, this also isn't going to happen. No matter the game, no matter the game company behind it, every single game that releases will have issues. They're simply things that a game studio cannot test because of the limited amount of playtesters that they have. But when millions of players start playing it, that's when people start to encounter these issues. Likewise, you also see some issues which only arise once it hits a certain player limit. So for those that are expecting it to be absolutely amazing, no issues whatsoever, it's unrealistic. And it's not CD Projekt Red's fault, it's just the way that life is. There's some things that you simply cannot test. What's more important is that day one patch, as well as the patches that come out after that. If it takes months and months and months and months just to get a patch out, that's when there's a problem. But if they're quick about it and they start pushing out patches as quickly as possible to try and fix these issues, then that's all you can really ask for. And the other thing that I've seen a lot of players asking for is that CD Projekt release based on platform. As in, you would release on consoles first, and then later you'll do PC, and then finally you'll do Stadia, because apparently no one really cares about that. And this would also raise many issues, because which platform do you do first? If you go for consoles first, which a lot of people have been asking for, the consoles are still massively different. As said, you have Xbox One, Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, and also PlayStation 5. That's a lot to do there, with a number of different tests to try out different features for each one of the platforms. If you ask for current gen, yes, that still cuts it down, but there's still a lot of tests for you to do there, which then raises the question of maybe they should do PC first. But bear in mind that with PC, not everyone has the same specs for their PC as everyone else. So even with the PC build, you need to have a number of different settings which is open to the player so that they can change the resolution, the frame rate, the quality, the view distance, shadows, textures, effects, post-processing. That list also goes on with everything needing to be tested. And if as a game company you do decide which platform you want to push to first and stagger the release, you're still going to have outrage for all the fans that weren't part of that platform. So it'll just be a crazy situation where a lot of fans just aren't happy, no matter what. I really thought that this was the time. I thought the 19th of November was the day. You had investors meeting, a mandatory crunch time for employees, adverts starting to hit the TV screen saying that it will be releasing on the 19th of November. And with this delay, I can't say that I'm not disappointed. I am disappointed, but I can easily wait 3 weeks. I'm already starting to look on the positive side of things. It does mean that now I have more time in November to actually complete Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Call of Duty Cold War and get my PlayStation 5 and absolutely boss it when Cyberpunk is released. I can actually have a decent setup whereas instead I was actually planning for the 19th of November to hit and for me to use a PlayStation 4 and then a PlayStation 5 for streams, try to do video. It was going to be a crazy day. So I'm already starting to look at the positives. We would have all loved to play the game sooner rather than later, but hopefully now I've shined some light on certain aspects with the game and why it has been delayed, and also answering many comments that have been posted and tweeted to CD Projekt Red. Depending when you're watching this video, we are back up to around 40 days, but I am still very hyped for this game no matter what, and I'm very excited for December to come round so that I can actually play this game. If you do want to talk a bit more in depth about the Cyberpunk delay or just anything relating to Cyberpunk 2077, there is a link in the description down below which will take you over to the Twitch stream. I currently stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, but when Cyberpunk does come out, that will be going up to daily. It might even go to daily streams in November with Call of Duty Cold War, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so if you're interested in those games or just want to talk Cyberpunk as said, link to that is in the description down below. But anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going to see you.